Thank you, Suhayl. So I'm not sure if everyone can still hear me. I'm just gonna share a different screen just to close off as part of the Q&A session. So what we had said was that we're going to present this session for 2 days, but looking at the content, we're able to cover everything today. So tomorrow, we are still on for those that would be interested on the coaching program. And if you've got any questions that, for whatever reason, we might not have been able to cover today. So essentially, this is the program. In terms of the details, for those that would want to pursue this course further, we are going to provide the recordings for this very session, including the course material and those exercises that Suhayl was talking about during the presentation. So that becomes very important for those that want to be certified, so that at least you've got the course certificate to show that you've attended the course. But not only that, as part of the coaching program as well, specifically for project management related, mentorship and coaching session, would highly recommend that you consider this option. So these are the details. But what becomes even more interesting is that if you are interested on the online version of the same course, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. So these are some of the other courses, the international courses, which all come with the international exam. So you've got your Lean Six Sigma type of programs, which we also highly recommend, not only for supply chain, industrial engineering. Actually, these are programs that are applicable across all business functions, really. I'm just looking for the e-learning version. There you go. So, okay, not this. This is the same. Sorry about that. Let me just check what's happening here. I might have gone past it. But basically, we've got the live version and the e-learning version of that same course at 350 if you miss this session for whatever reason. All right. So I'm just going to leave it at that. In the interest of time, maybe let's just go back to the questions. So those that would like to send us an email or to call, if you've got any inquiries related to registrations, coaching, these are the details on the screen. You can just take a screenshot, but we are going to be sharing the recording. I'm just going back to the questions. I won't be long. So yes, one of the questions that was asked during the session, I know we've covered some of the questions that were asked here, but maybe just to highlight the key things, or should I say the key questions. So there's about 3 of them. So the first one is, how do you make sure that projects consider triple BE requirements, the mining charter requirements, to comply with stakeholder expectations? I think that speaks to the stakeholder management part that we're talking about, or should I say that Suhayl was presenting when it comes to change management. And the second question is around the project management cycle that is commonly used by government or non-government organizations. And it says that the cycle discussed seems to be tailored towards manufacturing organizations. It's made for manufacturing organizations. So Suhayl, I think I'm just gonna leave it at that for now because we've addressed the other question. Maybe we'll just add once you've covered the first two. Over to you, sir.
Truman. Yeah, I've just opened the chat and I'm seeing some of the items there. Let me briefly mention on the BE requirement, or any requirement for that matter. When you go through your procurement process, you have your bid documents or the tender documents, and in there you have various requirements and specifications. And obviously the BE requirements, they're legislated, they're part of what is required. So in terms of the tender specifications and contractual requirements, you make that as part of your requirement, part of your specification. And so only qualifying tenderers can actually bid. So that is one way that we used to address it, in my previous organization. And as I have seen in many other parastatals and state-owned enterprises, that is how they would approach it. I don't know whether that responds to the question adequately, or if there is a follow-up to that. But anyway, that is what came to my mind when I saw the question.
And if I may add, Suhayl, to what you've just mentioned, maybe just to expand on that. So some of you here, you might be in supply chain or procurement, or in the project management space, an engineer. So normally what you'd also have the bid committee process. So there's the SCM bid committees. So specifically at the specification stage. So if you know that the environment within which you operate requires that you comply with such things, and perhaps it might not even be an issue of compliance, but you foresee that particular risk that you might actually have people, the local communities and other stakeholders demanding that you implement whatever policy or mandate that they might actually give you or challenge you on some of these regulations, as it were. You need to make sure that at that level, before you even go out, you address all those issues. It becomes part of your specification, but also to address that issue where you might actually have people, the local community, especially in the mining sector and in some of the construction projects that our government would be implementing. They would actually challenge, and stop the project and say that they need to be considered as well, like Suhayl was saying. So in terms of such things, you really need to make sure that there is proper consultation before project implementation. Make sure that your stakeholders are clear in terms of how the project is going to be rolled out, what is required in terms of them maybe becoming part of the process. What are the opportunities that exist, as opposed to just doing your own thing within the business? You go all out, you invite all the bidders, and you leave the people on the ground that might actually bring the project into a standstill, and suddenly you find yourself not being able to achieve your intended objective, or even complete the project within the allocated time frame. So I guess even in terms of private sector, talking about the mining sector, they've got procurement panels. So I can't remember who asked the question. So maybe, those are the things that you need to just go back and think about, try and find out within the organizations, within your respective organizations, which procurement channels and structures do they have in place where you can possibly address these issues before going out and sourcing bidders or contractors for whatever project that you're going to be undertaking. So I think, Suhayl, I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I'm not sure if you've got any other question that you want to tackle.
Yeah, so it seems the question had come from Molly, and yeah, now I get the context of it better. So I just want to add, in our experience, when we had situations like this where the community would demand, inclusion in the project, and initially this came after the contract had been awarded and everything. Suddenly you are confronted by a number of local contractors who feel left out, and who want to bring your project to a stop and who want to be included. Initially, what we had to do was to have a dialogue with them, find out what are their capabilities, then approach the main contractor and see to what extent could he modify his original plan to include some of these local contractors, as subcontractors in the plan. The other challenge we had, sometimes you would get a group coming from another part of the province, and demanding to be given a stake or a portion of the work in this project. And so there was a lot of negotiation, meetings, getting the councillors involved, getting the local community. And then as time went on, we became more proactive. So when we were going to have a project, we would then approach the community and the councillor and say, look, there's going to be a project here in about 6 months' time. We're going to need these kinds of skills. Can you please identify which contractors qualify? And then we would give that list at the tender stage to the main contractors. We would say, guys, when you are going to fill your tender document, you need to also include the following as your subcontractors. Now, where you include them for what task and at what rate, that is your own business decision, and you discuss it with the subcontractor. But you need to have a certain level of involvement. So those then help to stabilize the situation and to prevent work stoppages and so on. The next question, I think it was from Lucy about the project cycle.
Yes.
So a typical PMP sort of project life cycle at a very high level, you talk about initiating, then planning, then executing, then monitoring and control, and finally closeout. So, at a high level of overview, you have those 5 stages, and that is part of the standard project management methodology. But maybe you are looking at something more specific, and if so, tell me what specifically are you interested in, and I can, get some material on that to you if I cannot mention it right now, or if it's necessary to show it on a diagram better.
Lucy, are you still there? You can unmute yourself and just shout. Okay, I guess Lucy is covered. She's not responding. So I think that brings us to the end of the session. And once again, thank you so much, everyone, for those interesting questions. I think it's only when we get these questions that we realize how valuable the session was, and the type of question, based on the type of questions rather that you'd ask. So I'm just gonna read out some of the remarks from the attendees. So El Seda says, "Wow, thank you for this enlightening session." And then Rebecca is saying, "Thank you very much for the session. It was really exciting. Thank you very much. It was really exciting and knowledgeable." And someone says, who's this? Holly, thank you very much. Response highly appreciated. So I guess everyone is covered. So those of you that are interested on the coaching program, this is the link. I'm just gonna drop it here in the chat so that you can just copy and feel free to join the platform. I'm not sure what happened here. I've lost it, but yeah, I'm gonna get it just now. So I just wanted to also check if there's any questions in the next 2 minutes before we end the call. Any other questions, closing remarks from anybody while I send the link? Okay, so all right, that brings us to the end of the session. So here's my text. Let me just check. I hope everyone can see it. I lost it there for a minute. Sorry about that. But basically, that is the link if you want to join the coaching session. So we've got about there's quite just over 200 professionals who are part of that program already. So feel free, once you are inside the platform, you can just say hello to everyone, and feel free to interact. So through that e-learning platform, once you've joined through that link, we'll be sending you the regular updates as and when we have these sessions. So with that being said, from my side, it was once again a very interesting session that we've had, and I hope you are able to harness a thing or two that is going to help you in your current role, or maybe just as a way to equip yourself with a new skill that might actually help you. Project management is one skill that actually applies across various functions. For as long as you are working with people, delivering on whatever requirements for your clients, internal and external clients, there is always something that is going to make you to be involved in a project type of an environment. So Suhayl, I'm not sure if there's any closing remarks from your side, but once again, thank you so much for such an interesting session. This brings us to the end. I'm going to leave it to you to do the final closing comments, as it were.
Thank you very much, Truman, and my note of appreciation to all the colleagues who attended the session. I just want to say I'm here to share the little that I may have, in terms of experience and knowledge, and I'm very happy to try and assist, with learning. So if I can help anybody learn something and apply it to your life and career going forward, that would fulfill, my best sort of desires. So please feel free if you would like to continue with the coaching or with any questions after the session. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you. Night.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everyone.